Toby Jenkins from the Publishing Academy, and I'm sitting here on Trev, our trusty tractor, after zooming round our fields doing a bit of ploughing. Looking at the trees got me thinking to how some of the trees are really fruitful, and each year they produce loads and loads of fantastic fruit for us, while others just die there in the fields. And it reminded me of the publishing game in general, how some authors are really fruitful and make lots and lots of wealth for themselves, and others really don't make that success. With that in mind, here are some scary figures from our experience in the publishing game. In our experience, of every million people who dream and want and have the desire to be an author, only 1 in 5 of them actually have an idea about what they want to write. And just 1 in 5 of those actually have a good idea. And of those who actually have a good idea, just 1 in 5 of them have a market for that idea. And only 1 in 5 people actually then go on to write in their book. So of those 1 million people who dreamed of being an author, just 1,600 of you will actually get to the stage of being ready to be published. But it gets worse. Only 1 in 5 of those manuscripts will ever see the light of day and be published. And only 1 in 5 of them will ever break even. So what this means is that only 64 of the original million hopeful authors will actually get to a point where they're not losing money on their writing project. But let's get this into perspective. Those 64 from a million original hopefuls are only just about making profit. They are not wealthy as authors. In fact, only 1 in 5 of those 64 will ever go on to becoming a wealthy author. But that's it for the bad news. Here's the good news. Stay with us at Publishing Academy and we're going to show you how to become one of the 12 in a million authors who go on to become wealthy authors. I'm going to pass you over to Joe now, and Joe's going to take you through the 6 steps to becoming a wealthy author.
Hi, I'm Joe Gregory, co-author of The Wealthy Author, and in a moment I'm going to show you the 6 steps on the publishing ladder of success. The reason this is so important is that much of what you do as an author actually costs money, and in order to make money you need to get from the earlier steps on the ladder to the higher steps as quickly as possible. By the time I finish this quick presentation, you will learn the 6 essential steps to becoming a successful author. That's from having no idea at all what your book's going to be about, to having an income coming from books and book-based business for the rest of your life. We'll look at the 3 common danger points, places where people fall off the ladder and don't really make any money as an author, or don't actually even see their book in print. We'll look at why most authors are poor even when they've got a book in print and it's selling well. We'll look at why some authors, despite this fact, still have to keep the day job to make ends meet. And we'll show you what you can do about it so that you can learn to earn real money as an author 24/7. Okay, so we've got a ladder and it's got 6 steps. And at the bottom of this ladder it costs money. And at the top of the ladder, that's where you make money. Step 1 is the idea stage. And in our experience, the first idea you come up with is often not the very best. So it makes me wonder why most people stop as soon as they come up with one idea. In fact, the idea is probably one of the most important parts of the whole process. But a good idea on its own isn't going to be worth very much if you haven't got a market for it. So the second step on the ladder is finding a market. It's important to know who you're going to sell to, whether they actually buy books, and whether what you've got to offer is something they actually want and need. Now as we get to step 3, things get a bit more interesting. This is a time when the author actually has to write the book. Now, it's not as easy as it seems to just go out and write a book. Some people get stuck, they get blocked, and they really don't know what to write about or how to structure a book. If you get this bit wrong, you end up with something that can take a very, very long time, and all this time it costs you money and time. Okay, on to step 4. This is where most people think they need to aim, and they think this is the end of it, and that's actually getting your book published. But the problem is, there are so many ways of getting published these days that it's important that you choose the right route for you. Vanity presses are all over the place, waiting to rip authors off. And not only that, some mainstream publishers just aren't going to be right for you if you want to make profit. In other cases, a mainstream publisher is the right choice, especially if you're trying to raise your profile and build kudos. We'll look at all three options. As I already said, most people think as soon as they get to getting published, they've actually made it. They're going to get loads of money from sales of their books, and the money will just roll in, and they'll be rich off the royalties. But nothing could be further from the truth. So step 5 is all about selling loads of books. Nothing really happens until you sell a book, but there's more to it than simply getting your book on the bookshelves in bookstores. In fact, the way things are changing now, online, offline, and all sorts of other marketing processes all need to be applied. In fact, with one of our books, we sold over £30,000 worth of books in a single day at launch. We'll show you how to do that inside the Publishing Academy. But even if your book is selling well, and you're making a nice royalty from your book sales, it's very unlikely you'll be able to give up your day job as an author. So this is where step 6, the missing step in most authors' cases, comes into play, and that's cashing in on your success. To become a star in your industry, and to be able to make more and more money as your book and your fans grow. So there you have it, the 6 steps of publishing success. But there's a bit more I want to share with you. You'll remember that I mentioned that some of the jobs cost money, and some of them make money. Well, actually the first 3 steps on the ladder all cost money. In fact, until you start selling books, you haven't made a single penny from being an author. And all that time could have actually been spent doing a real job. At step 5, very few people make enough money from sales alone to give up their day job and become full-time authors. And it's only when you start getting to step 6 that you can begin to cash in and really enjoy the lifestyle of a wealthy author. So with this in mind, it makes sense to get from here to here as quickly as possible. So what stands in your way? Well, there are really 3 essential sticking points. The first one is getting the book written. Some people just don't know where to begin. They get into all sorts of messes, end up hiring and spending money on book coaches, editors, proofreaders and the rest in order to try and make their book work. We'll show you a really easy way of doing that inside the Publishing Academy, so that you can actually immunise yourself from getting stuck. Write your book rapidly and effectively, because at the moment it's still a cost money job. The next common sticking point is getting published. While it is more difficult these days to get a good mainstream publishing contract, especially one that pays in advance, it is still possible to find a mainstream if that's what you're after. But look at it this way, when most publishers only actually pay 7% net, which is less than 50p for a book, it makes sense to look at the other options available to you, like self-publishing using print on demand. Now, just for the record, let me get things straight about publishing. There are plenty of vanity publishers out there that call themselves self-publishers, collaborative publishers, cooperative publishers, even pod publishers, which stands for publish on demand in their jargon. The simple fact is, if somebody's charging you as an author to publish your book, they're not a real publisher and you should avoid them like the plague. Okay, the final sticking point is actually selling books. There are loads and loads of books out there that just simply aren't selling. Now, although this is the point where people realise this is a problem, it's usually due to the fact they haven't done their homework at the idea and the market stage. By looking at this as a whole process, it's important that you start with the very first step and build up to step 5. All of these things have to exist before you can actually really become a wealthy author. We also promised that we'd tell you why many authors, despite actually getting this bit right and selling loads of books, aren't really wealthy authors. And that's because they've missed this final step of cashing in. You see, a book is really just an entry-level product, and you need to have a back-end product that includes higher value seminars, courses, training and events in order to make real money from your fans and readers of your book. So there you have it, the 6 steps of publishing success. So, where are you now on the ladder of success? Have you got an idea that you think's a good idea? Would you like to know if it really is? We'll cover that in the next video. Do you actually have a market for your book? We'll also cover that in the next video. Are you at the stage where you need to write your book, but just don't know how to go ahead and do it quickly? Are you actually just about to get published or considering paying to get published and just wondering if there are any better options for you? Or perhaps you've already got a book, but it's just not selling as well as you'd like to. In which case you're at step 5. It's often the case that you can make big movement here and grow your success, but you have to make sure that step 1 and 2 have been covered properly first. Finally, you'll probably be at the stage where you're selling loads of books, but you simply just can't give up the day job. In that case, we're going to show you how you can structure your whole business your whole life to bring in money from your books 24/7, whatever you want to do, and you can become truly wealthy, spending your time exactly as you wish. Right, I'm going to hand back over to Deb now. Thanks for listening.
So, now you've learnt all about the 6 steps on the publishing ladder of success and how you too can become a wealthy author. So stay tuned and sign up to learn from our next video all about how you can come up with best-selling book ideas quickly and easily. In fact, it's such an easy system that we're going to come up with 33 book ideas in just 3 minutes or less.